Rest in peace to all the homies, yeah, money was the motive. Hood couldn't hold me. 100K made man, suckers looking for me.
Peace, what's going on? This is Mr. Tom Brody. You just tuned in to the Cheers to the Real podcast, supporting art, music, and underground New York City culture. Got a good personal friend, street icon right now. Please introduce yourself to the people. What's going on?
What's up, man? Chris A.M. Chris A.M.
Yes, sir. So I wanna get straight into it. Everyone that tunes into the platform, they know it's art, it's music, it's culture. It's a lot of like-minded artists supporting each other. So let's get right into it, man. The whole graph scene, being an artist. What's the background with art and graph? Let people know, man.
I don't even think there's a beginning. Like, if I think back, I don't even know where I can't recall a beginning. It's like I've been watching and involved, having a tag and paying attention to graffiti since like first grade. So I can't there's it was there.
Now you and I have talked off camera. Do you feel that hip hop and graffiti are one of the same? They're definitely intertwined. I mean, it's one of the elements. It's expressing yourself, and again, my opinion, it's expressing yourself. Right.
Some might express it vocally, some are expressing it running through the train yards.
Right. And again, for people that are tuning in that might not know the history, might not understand it, I urge you to kind of do your own math, do your own research. The man's been out here putting in work for years. It's a funny thing. Anytime I take the train, you have a beautiful rooftop, nice king spot, like in Chinatown, like still running. I'm like, this shit. Yeah. I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm like, good luck getting up there. So with graffiti, like, is there what's the whole influence and background? 90s graph scene, like, let people know, like, what was the energy like in the 90s Brooklyn graffiti scene? What was the energy like?
One thing I got to say is I have to. I feel very fortunate, extremely based on my age. I'm 44. So if you do the math, you go back to 1987. I'm 10 years old.
Right.
And that's a pinnacle year. That 86, 87, 88, 89.
88.
Serious years in graffiti. And I'm very fortunate that I had a neighbor, Date. Date was my neighbor. He's my friend since we're born. Like,
Cheers to the OG.
Yeah, like I couldn't cross the street. We used to have to get someone to cross us the street to hang out and play around. So he's a few years older. So through him being my friend, at 10 years old in 1987, he's 13. And he's got friends that are 3 years older than him that are, 15, 16.
They're already out there putting work.
Yeah, like they were like 16 in 1987. Like, people like DS, for example.
Yeah.
Like DS is 50 years old today.
Cheers to the OG. Always a cool dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Stay Tanned Vandals, staying on the beach. DS, big DS. Shout out to DS.
No doubt.
Date was not to not talk about me, but
Of course.
Date was very talented. And he was advanced for his age. So he got pulled by older kids. And me being with Date allowed me to really start to see people and understand from a different age perspective of the game.
Right.
There was a chain of command. Like,
right.
if you're a toy, like, you weren't really just having an opinion about stuff. You couldn't.
And put that on pause. Keyword. So people that are out of the element, when we say a toy, what are we talking about?
A beginner, like, you really don't.
In other words, your art style in that is just terrible. Your hand style is terrible.
You're on probation. But yeah, like, it was. So I got to see a good portion of those late 80s at a very young age.
Right.
So there was like a lot of rules and there was ways about the 80s that differed from the mid 90s. So I kind of, you also, I've been to jail 3 times.
Absolutely.
And the 3 times that I went to jail, it was always at like big turning points in society. Like when I went, I go to jail in the late, like 97. Like when I go to jail, I'm pulled off the street, so a lot started to transpire.
Great year in hip hop, by the way.
Fantastic, yeah, fantastic, and bad also, and bad. We lost too. We suffered big losses.
Right. Yep.
But every time I went away, it seemed my mark was every 5 years I would get in trouble. It was like every 5 years, okay, the felony's coming. That's how it was working. And in those years that I would go away, like so much started to change. Like music was changing and rules of acceptance to the street were changing. And I was being removed from that transition. And then I would get ejected back to the street. And
hard simulation, hard to like.
Yeah, well, I never, all the times I went away, even the first time, I never felt like I had to transition back to society because it's the not normal is being in jail. That's not normal. So that's the transition. Coming back to where you belong was always like, all right, it's a no big deal. Like maybe the car bump has changed. Maybe people are now on phones different or the clothes are different. But human nature is always the same.
Right.
But the mentality changed. So I never really got accustomed and conformed. There was nothing I wanted to conform to. So it's like whatever changed, it was always like what I seen was for the worse.
Right.
So I was just never with it. Like I was just like...
And the background of upbringing would be where? So give people a kind of...
South Brooklyn.
South Brooklyn.
South Brooklyn. Gravesend / Bensonhurst.
And for those who probably don't know the city that well or the parameters of the city, that time, especially in South Brooklyn, was very much segregated at a certain point.
Oh, yeah. As clear as day is like, don't cross that line.
Right.
You know, I'm glad we're going to talk about that because I kind of like jumbled this around in my mind and I thought about like junior high school.
Right.
And I remember there were what were considered, I guess, race wars.
Absolutely. And what junior high school did you go to?
228, Booty.
I went to Sethno, so I clearly remember.
Yeah, like there was like, it was like, I guess considered a race war.
It absolutely was.
But when I really think about it, and I really think about, was there race discrepancy? I feel like it was more like, regardless of skin or ethnic or background, it was basically just territorial. Like you really couldn't go somewhere if you weren't from there.
People that are not from New York, like, you know, for example, when I talk to my Tampa peoples or I go out to Cali, they may watch movies and think it's fabricated.
Right.
And I'm like, no, my brother. That West Side Story vibe was very much a real deal.
100%. Like there was a such thing as getting caught out of bounds. Like if you got caught out of bounds, I mean, real talk. Like you couldn't just go from neighborhood to neighborhood and walk through it.
Listen, I know growing up, you know, you had Stowell Avenue, and me being in the projects, there was a fine line where I knew after certain hours, like, you know, let me tiptoe around, you know what I mean?
That's wild, yeah, it's trippy.
You know?
Yeah, it's trippy.
And listen, you're experiencing a time where it's like Yusef Hawkins and things like that.
It was turned up.
Yeah,
the tension was so serious.
Our neighborhood, and when we say the neighborhood, that's Gravesend, Bay Ridge, Coney Island, Sheepshead Bay, you know, it was like a different level of turned up. It was like, whoa. And it leaves you in a weird paradigm because, hey, man, you got black friends, you got white friends, you got Spanish friends. So it's like, whoa, you know, you're picking sides over here. Like, it's crazy.
Wild, yeah, man. Remember that?
Yeah.
That's what was trippy.
Anytime I think of that, I think of Public Enemy. You know what I mean? Like the video was turned up. They're out there marching, protesting, fight the power.
What a different time and place. And yet there was spells and time periods where people got along.
Right.
It was like you light a match, and if one wrong thing transpired, it was just instant separation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like one match, and it was a little spark would fuel a whole.
Which is so ironic because you can go to Coney Island where it's hood of hood in the middle of Section 8 projects.
Right.
And then you can go 10 blocks the other way and we got, you know, $1 million house and everyone's upper middle class and that's New York for you.
I got a little fact for you. I don't know if you know, but it's a fact. We live among the richest pound for pound per square footage neighborhood in this country. Not our state or nothing.
Right.
You see the East Streets, Avenue T, S,
Right.
East First, the Jewish, the
Yeah.
Syrian.
Yeah.
That community has the most billionaires per square footage in the country. So we live among the most wealthiest people in this country, right under our
It's
nose.
a very nice area, by the way.
And if you ever want to like know what it's like to be a superhero and be invisible, to be completely invisible, go walk down those streets and ask somebody for a direction because they don't even acknowledge
Oh no, it's a wrap.
that you exist.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
Like, excuse me, ma'am, do you know where this? And they're gonna.
You're like, he's the goyim. I'm not talking to the
Yeah,
goyim.
it's like who's talking? Did you hear something? It's like you're invisible.
And listen, bless Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, again, our era and our generation, I think it's super diverse. You could go 3 miles in any direction, get any type of food you want. You can definitely see the culture, feel the culture, and that was always a good thing.
Yeah.
But again, let's give the people a good taste of the '90s graffiti scene, because I always felt that although the '80s was tough with the subway bombing, I always thought '90s was different because it started getting a little more gang related, a little more with the blades and the guns, and the drug activity was also involved with street activity. Very similar to like LA. LA becomes, it's like they're graph banging on each other.
As far as the 80s, when I refer to the 80s is just a guideline and a base to
Right.
starting to come around. Like I mean, I'm not around in the 80s.
Right.
In reality.
Right.
In my mind, I'm around because I think I got a tag and I'm seeing things, but starting to get involved and leaving the porch and stepping out there and the early 90s, that 91, 92, 93.
Who would you say was king of New York around that time?
Man, I mean,
I know Ket was crushing it back then, right? Astro might have been crushing it back then.
Astro, shout out to Astro.
Yeah, shout out to
I mean
Astro.
that's a staple. That's
Yeah.
that's a New York staple
Yeah.
right there. And
I always felt he didn't get his due just in general. I think real graph heads know him, but he was such a cool, humble dude, man.
I mean, let's just stay with that point. Like anybody that mattered
right?
knows Astro. Like that's, whatever happens after that
Fact.
could happen. But anybody
Fact.
that counted, of course, they know who Astro was.
Fact. And I always felt graffiti artists, I always felt that there was such a labor of love involved because unlike b-boying or unlike being a rapper, there's a certain financial dividend to it, right?
Correct.
Whereas if, you being an ill graph head, going out there bombing every day, risking your freedom on the line, it's really a labor of love.
Oh, no doubt
as
about it.
opposed to here's the check because you're all city. You know what I mean? And with that being said, is there an age in your opinion, is there an age with being a quote unquote graffiti writer? Tough question.
I mean, times changed. Like when I'm a kid, graffiti is up until you get your license. Like once you start getting girls and you got a license, it's like you're like 18, 18 years old.
You're
It's
18,
over.
19. You're coming out of high school.
I'm talking about 13 to 18 was the span of a graffiti writer.
Right.
Like starting at like 26, 20. There's people that are starting at 20, 30.
Yeah.
Like you're starting graffiti at 30.
There are people moving in from different states.
I'm not going to opinionate on it because
Right.
I just don't relate to it. Like when I think of graffiti, I'm like a little kid, and then I start to branch out, and now I'm a teenager. And that's once I got out of my teens, it was like I didn't pay attention to graffiti. So basically, that mid '90s point, like I really I didn't pay attention to it. I was on to different things. Like I was busy throwing my life away like a COVID tissue. At that point, yeah, I was basically.
It's all relevant. It's all relevant.
I was on to some different stuff.
Yeah,
but
it's all relevant. And then when we say graph, for people that know Brooklyn, I would say N and the R. You're very active, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
What would be your opinion? Would be the more complicated train line to be bombing?
Complicated. Everybody seems to love it. I think that Q line. I don't know what they named it now, but that Q line was difficult. Something about it.
Tunnels?
Yeah, I mean
That's 'cause
tunnels.
so many tunnels on that line.
I mean, there's like nowhere to hide. It's like crazy. It's
That's
weird.
true. That's
it's
true.
like a weird line, and it's like miniature. It's like as soon as the train passes, the stations are like right on top of each other.
I never thought about that. That's true.
They're
That's true.
close. But just to rewind a little bit, when you said King in the '90s, that videograph like really did it. Like when that videograph, I think it was maybe Chew.
That had a lot
with
of
Ket and J.A.
That
like,
everybody turned up.
That was like groundbreaking.
That was.
Like watching videograph and seeing that, but that was really
I saw
dope.
J.A. tags in Puerto Rico. I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit. I was like, oh
Big J.A.
shit. He's out here.
The machine, the
Yeah,
machine.
man. Different level.
Different level, yeah.
Different level.
Yeah.
So we're into graph. We're digesting it. We're living it. We're doing it. We're on the street. At what point do we take a left turn, and we just start going left?
9th grade.
Ninth grade.
9th grade, it's over.
And what high school did we go to?
Lafayette.
Lafayette. Good old Laf, which is not
Metal
called
detectors.
Lafayette anymore.
Yeah, metal detectors.
I always tell people, bro, we were one of the first high schools.
The first, not one of, the.
So we were the first high school
to have metal detectors.
to have metal detectors. I think people forget that.
I remember like in the library, it was like a prison. Like they had like shanks there. Like things would pop off and like people would have like knives and stuff stashed like behind the library.
So
like
real.
behind books and stuff. Like it was crazy. Yeah.
Surreal, because then you had the Coney Island crowd always beefing with the Marlboro crowd, and then it's fucking crazy.
Wild
90s
stuff,
feel,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
90s feel. So we take it from there and we move on over. And what's our activities? What are we getting into? Where do we go left?
We're moving those packages, man.
Yeah, man.
We're serving those customers.
Yeah, and that
Money was coming in. You know, it was.
And for some reason, South Brooklyn, for whatever reason, was always very active.
Was it?
With this activity?
You know, so I'll tell you something really trippy. Today I went to a ball field. Mm-hmm. And it was Severian, the school.
Oh, no doubt.
So I was, they were playing baseball, so I was watching them, and I seen as I'm walking, I see a guy, and I know his face, and it was a 6'2" precinct cop that arrested me. He arrested me in 1997.
No.
Listen, and I looked at him and I said, I know this guy. He's a cop, right? I walk a couple of more yards down. I see a lawyer, one of the lawyers that I know, a highfalutin lawyer. And I start talking with him, and I said, the guy behind me standing, I said, he goes, yeah, he's a cop. He's been around a long time. I said, 6'2"? He said, yeah. I said, I knew that was him. He cracked my head wide open with the walkie-talkie.
Say word.
Yeah, he arrested me, and they surveilled me from like a block away, Verizon building. I was on 10th Street, so it was a 1 block difference. But they watched me with binoculars and a stick that recorded. It was like audio.
Straight
Listen,
out of a movie.
so he records me, and I put the stash up in the gate, and I move, and I'm on the corner. And they ran down on me, and they arrested me. And they went straight to the gate, and they took the work. So you know how we think. It ain't on you. It's not on me.
False
That ain't
premise.
mine, yeah.
Yo, people have a false premise. I think they get the information the wrong way,
forget
man.
about that. You got to learn that. People ain't trying to hear it.
Yeah.
So I'm chilling. They arrest me, and I'm like, I'm good. Like that wasn't on me. Like you found something in a gate, and you're telling me it's mine. So
Right.
the cop arrests me. And he's doing his paperwork outside the cell. You know, I'm locked in the cell, and I'm like, officer, what's up? Like, well, why are you arresting me for? And he's ignoring me. Irish face that I never, stone face, writing in his book, looking, and he's ignoring me. I'm testosterone filled. I'm young. I'm not even thinking about karma in life, like, you know what I mean? So, I said something to him really, really not nice.
Right.
Really not nice. Like it was really bad. I basically like cursed him out and called him all types of names, and I actually like wished death on his family, like to him, like you dirty rat, this, that, and I said some bad stuff. And he got up, he came to cell, he cracked my head. He came in he sent me through the bookings with a split head.
That was pretty common back in the days. Very common back in the days.
Yeah.
You know?
So he got me, but
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's trippy. Yeah, all these
Fucking
years.
crazy.
Yeah.
So we move. So we get, and unfortunately, within our community and within our neighborhood and within the culture, this is like a dime a dozen getting locked up. It's almost like whether you want to say it's making your bones or whether you want to say it's your history, right? It's a dime a dozen.
Correct.
So we get locked up the first go around.
Yeah.
You get hit. What'd you do?
1 to 3.
1 to 3.
Came home in a year. Yeah.
1 to 3.
Second I stepped out the gate, the feds were there to take me on another one.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Now, this is New York correction, obviously. So now, going in, shell-shocked, life experience, but the thing that I take into it is, does race play a factor when being incarcerated?
I got locked up in 94.
Okay.
First time I got locked up was in 1994. First time I was going to the island
Right.
was in 94. Scared to death.
Right.
I'll tell you right now, I never seen ugly people like I seen in that island in 94. I didn't know what I was in for.
A lot of anger in the building.
I did not know what I was in for. Okay, I was a Bensonhurst Gravesend white boy.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And got into something transpired, some violence happened on the street, and I got arrested. They caught me and basically almost on the scene. Big bail at the time. It was like a $50,000 bail. Didn't make it right away, and touched that island in 9/4.
9/4.
9/4, man. When I tell you there was more stitches given out in that little 2 weeks,
that
I'm
was the
talking
hot
about.
zone,
No,
9/4.
I mean the Kings were.
Yeah, that was fucking.
Like the Bloods, that 9 tray. Like that just came about. Like that was formed.
It was just being
right
conceived,
then.
absolutely.
Like 9 tray, 9/3. So I was there in 9/4, summer of 9/4, and yeah, it was bad. Like you're getting into fights. Like you have to fight. Like yeah, you're fighting. You're fighting from in the bullpen, and like you're fighting.
Yep.
Like I got into fights the whole way through there. There was on that 94 pinch. There was no relaxed time.
Yeah.
It was wild. Yeah, it was, and it was also, mind you, I was adolescent. So it was like really wild and
Sink or swim.
yeah.
Right.
It was no joke.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, for most people, this would be a learning lesson, right?
Right.
So, we come 360. We come back out.
We come out and we think we could just still do it, but not get caught. You think you get smarter.
Right.
And yeah, came out and continued and got knocked in 9/7. Going to the adults was a totally different story, man. You go in as an adult and it's a lot more toned down.
Really?
It's not really a big story. It never bothered me. Like in my own, like all the years, let's say I did 8 years total. I can honestly say to myself, I never thought about home when I was in there, ever. No matter, there was only one thing that I cared about. There was only one thing that would be on my mind. Let my loved ones be there when I get out. That's it. Let them be there when I get out. If they're gonna die, pass away, something's gonna happen, let it happen a day after I'm out. Don't let it happen while I'm in here. That was my main concern. Put that to the side. It was it's not a big story. It is what it is. It's what we sign up for when we're doing stuff. And
well said.
You have to accept that responsibility.
Well said.
And it's kind of crazy to say. The Feds was kind of fun. Like there was a lot of good. Like I had
Different energy.
Yeah, like I met great people in there. Like good dudes, man. That I still communicate with today. Like really good people.
And it's always a stereotype, too, when I have friends that live in the BX or out of state, and when I bring them to the neighborhood, they're like, yo, there's a lot of, like, mafioso out here. And I'm like, bro, do you know where you're at?
Yeah, it's wild.
So just give the people an insight of, like, false, true, exaggerated, not, like, as far as South Brooklyn.
I mean, there's a whole level to South Brooklyn that is extreme.
That makes it different than East New York or Brownsville. It's just different. It just hits different.
It hits different. I mean, I don't really know those other places
Right.
to know what they do. I know what we do.
Right.
And I know it's definitely different.
Right.
And, you know, if whatever wavelength you're traveling on, I mean, you could be traveling on a wavelength in Brooklyn where it's extreme treachery, like real treachery, like historical treachery stuff, like what you're listening to on these radio stations and what you're watching in the movies, like we might live on the same block.
Buried in the sand type
and you
shit.
might not ever experience it, but I might live on that block, and I'm living what you're watching and listening to and hearing in the newspapers and stuff like that. So it's pretty.
Well, I always found
trippy.
it funny when rappers take names of iconic Italian mobsters.
Yeah.
I always find it like, really? Can we be a little more original? You know what I mean? But so we move forward. We're on a different time. We come out. Where do you feel with hip hop now? Like where are you as far as the culture? Like how do you feel about some of the artists out? How do you feel about what's going on?
Jeezy the Snowman. I mean, that's like the Ice Age. Like after Jeezy, like after that era, whatever year that was. What year was that? Like Jeezy the Snowman.
9.
What?
99.
Maybe not 99 type.
Yeah, like 99, 2001.
Yeah. All right. It ends for me there. Like,
All right.
Why does it end for me?
I was in the South, was killing it. You
I
had
don't-
Luda, you had everybody, were murdering it.
Yeah. Even that, like Paul Wall and
Yeah, they
stuff
were
like
killing
that.
it.
Yeah, it was
Fire.
cool. I don't relate. I don't know if it's because I got older. For whatever reason, the why is not important, but I don't relate to hip hop today.
So I had other.
There's been some bangers. Don't get
Right,
you know,
right,
there's
right.
been some joints in the mix of that are bangers that I'll listen to
Right.
and I rock with. But
So as a hip hop head, graffiti, New York icon, where do you put some of your favorite MCs? Who would you put? Let's just say no particular order.
Yeah.
Where would you say you are in your top 5?
top 5,
No particular order.
top 5 New York City
Dead or
artists.
alive?
Dead or alive.
Top 5? I know I always have
Let's
trouble
go.
with this
All
too.
right, let's go. We have
Who's up in there for you? Knowing you're an old school dude.
we're talking what lyrically? When it comes to the
And
music,
just-
don't
you-
mind my misfitness
No,
of
no.
speaking here. Don't gauge me off of
When-
my music.
When again, that's always a personal preference.
Yeah.
Because I've kind of told people my top 5, and they look at me like I'm bananas.
Pac is serious.
Okay.
Pac is he's dope. Like, you know,
Revolutionary all day.
Timeless music.
Amen.
Big is just all in the DNA. Like
Yep.
Big is, you know.
Yup.
It's a place and time where Big is
Icon.
It becomes timeless.
Icon.
Okay, Big and Pac, of course. Got to put Jay in there.
Got Jay in there?
Yeah, Jay's like.
I've
you
had
know,
arguments with
he's a
people.
whole-
I don't put Jay in my top
He's a whole
5.
vibe by himself.
Yeah,
like
I
he's
hear
a
you.
whole movement alone.
I hear you. I never.
His videos, he's alone. Like he
Yeah.
a billionaire
Yeah,
by
yeah.
himself type. You know,
Yeah,
so he's
yeah.
his whole own story.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
so-
he's dope. He was just never on my top 5. I give him credit.
Yeah, of course.
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
He is the voice of the culture.
I likes the way he talks. What I'm talking about is what are you saying?
Got you.
That moves me.
that double up music.
Jay
I got
talks
you.
some shit. You know what I mean?
got you.
He's on some, well, you know. But Big Pac Jay, top 5.
It's like the pillars, right? You got
I
they're
dig
like
the
pillars.
Jimmy, man. I'm not, you know, I dig the Jones, man.
Oof.
I liked Jones. I like what he was about.
I'm
like
not mad at you.
Yeah, I mean, he was talking that shit, and
I'm not mad at you.
you know, I might have to hold him accountable for the whole tight jeans situation too, man. Something. I mean, I seen him wearing some tight jeans, and he was looking like my father, like a Harley dude.
Oh yeah.
First of all, I didn't know what his nationality was. I don't know if Jim was black or like I don't know what he was, Spanish. Like
There's a lot of my dark skinned people that blend in the culture that they are actually Spanish.
Yeah.
But it's just like a fine line. They may be Panamanian.
yeah, I don't know what
yeah.
Jim was, but
Yeah.
he was dressing from what I seen, and
He was bringing that rock star
I
swag
just
with the
seen-
ripped jeans.
I watched it unfold, man. I watched the jeans get tighter and tighter and tighter, and the belts, and it was just like. But I liked the way he was moving. So number 4, Jim Jones.
Jim Jones is
number
up
4.
there.
Yeah, I put him up there. I liked his whole movement. I liked what he was talking about. I was digging how he was conducting himself. Top number 5.
He was wavy for a while. I mean, he was
Yeah,
killing
yeah.
it for a few
Yeah,
summers.
yeah,
he was
yeah.
killing it.
Yeah. Number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Do I put him in there?
Put him in there.
Do I put him in there?
Fuck it, put him in there.
Jeezy, man.
Jeezy,
Yeah,
I'm not mad
Snowman.
at you.
Going with the Snowman.
I'm not. I can't be mad at you.
I was digging the whole,
He completely redeveloped himself. He looks like a
I
whole
was
different
digging
dude,
it. I
bro.
was digging it.
This guy got fucking ripped. He look like a whole different dude. It's like, what the fuck? Yo, give me this guy's trainer, please. This guy is
Jeezy
looking...
put it together.
Yo, saw him. I'm like, yo, this is a whole different dude.
Yeah.
I get it. That's a testament to the liquor and the drugging and the partying and everything else he was doing. Credit to that man,
Yeah,
son. He
good
got
for
it
him.
together because
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
fantastic.
health is wealth.
So did Paul. Paul Wolp got it together
Yes,
too.
sir.
He was like kind of like, from what I mean, he was like heavy in a way.
Yup.
He put it together. His cheekbones is out.
Yo, people sleep, but whether we're talking about the rock audience or the hip hop audience, people start living that lifestyle and they really think that they could kind of, live that for 20, 30, 40 years. Like, good luck, bro. How many years you think you're gonna drink Hennessy and smoke blunts?
Yeah.
That-
Fact.
That's not gonna fly when you're 60.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Go figure. Like, we're gonna have oldie stations instead of it being doo-wop. It's gonna be hip hop. We're gonna be there with gray beards and gray hair, listening to Big and Pac. You know?
Snoop was.
Snoop is aging very well in the culture.
Yeah. He is, right?
That guy is aging,
He's aging
well
well.
in
Good
the
for him.
fucking culture.
Good for him.
We were just talking to someone else. He
Good
just
for
did a few
anybody
com-
aging well. Let's
be honest, right?
Let's get off them. Yeah, like good for anybody aging well.
Yeah, healthcare is a crazy thing. And speaking
We
of
lost a
healthcare,
lot of people. We lost a lot of people.
good
at this age.
Good
right
transition
now, yeah.
into where do you kind of fall with COVID, conspiracies, non-conspiracies, or better yet, for lack of better words, are you okay with mandated vaccines?
Oh man, this is you're dropping it on me. You're dropping it on me.
This is tough.
COVID. Could we agree that it was made in Wuhan, China?
I think at this level of the game,
Can we bet our life that it was made in Wuhan, China? Could we agree on that?
I think there's enough evidence that steers me in that direction.
So we're gonna go with it was made in Wuhan, China.
I'm gonna go with door number one.
Okay. One question is what we should be asking.
Mm-hmm.
You're developing a virus that if security is breached and it gets out, we have a world pandemic.
Right.
Why are you making that? No. And there is a such thing as answering a question.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's a such thing as answering a question. So my question is, why are you making that? For what reason are you making it?
Very demonic.
Just stay with that right there. Like, why are you making it for? What are you going to experiment it with?
You will have people thrown off because now it becomes a different topic. Now you're not talking about getting vaccinated. You're getting into a different layer of depth that people do not digest very well.
It's the first question I ask myself. I mean, this didn't take no thinking. Like, you're telling me that a virus was made and then it was breached?
Right.
A nuclear weapon.
Right.
We have thousands of them. A nuclear weapon is not going to go off by any mistake.
Right. Without multiple levels of security.
It's not going off. There are too many steps that can't physically
double
coincide.
keys at the same time, passwords.
Right. It's basically physically impossible.
Right.
You're making a virus that could do what it has done to us. That's not supposed to get out.
Right.
If it gets out, it was meant to get out.
But what makes it even stranger, and again, and this is not to feed on conspiracy theory, we talk facts. So what makes it more strange is the misinformation that's thrown out days after. See, that's the confusing part, because when people know the war against the people, and you see how people are uninformed, the sheep are very easily bamboozled.
Oh, of course.
I think history has told us, you just throw something on Fox Live or the news, and people run with what's on CNN or Fox.
There's psychological laws to human nature.
Right.
They understand psychology.
Right.
There are certain things that, when done, there's chain of events that happen.
Absolutely.
Now, regardless, even in the mix of those actions of what they put, whoever doesn't get tricked, if that's what you want to call it, it doesn't even make a difference. They could speak the truth. It's so massively done already that it doesn't make a difference who knows what.
Right.
There comes a point where it doesn't matter who knows what. the mission is being accomplished.
Regardless if you know, you can't fight it.
It doesn't make a difference. It's
Right.
meaningless what
Right.
you know.
The tide is too strong.
It's like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just it's.
I agree with
meaningless.
you because right now, imagine this. I remember being a 13-year-old kid reading certain books and really tapped into certain cultures and certain religions, and I would always ask certain questions. And regardless of the tension that wants to be misconstrued, all major religions still endowed with the same principles. And when you really look at what's going on, you don't have to be a spiritual guru to say, where do my rights get infringed where I don't want to take an injection?
Right.
Why are you forcing me? Like, do I not have control of my body?
Correct.
That's where I think a lot of people fall, where we're not going to get into the Republican or Democrat, if Biden and Trump. Like, people still bringing up Trump. I'm like, he's not the president. Stop bringing him up.
Right.
Right? So where the argument should be, do you have the power to inject me? That really the ultimate topic. And then once it gets into the thing of you saying, well, you don't have the right to get me sick, because that's the spin argument. It's like, no, you're right, but you don't have the right to get me sick. And when you look at that, and then you look at, the death of the petrodollar and a cashless society, and then you look at where science is going with cloning
It's trippy.
and
It's
transhumanism.
It's a little bit too much to digest.
It's crazy.
It's kind of like I'm gonna go back
Mm-hmm.
to when what you just started saying from the beginning. Like everything else, when you're not in the know,
right.
when you're not really involved in what's going on, you don't know what's going on.
Right.
I don't care what not you. I'm not saying
Right,
you.
right, right.
I don't care what you tell me. Whatever you tell me is only gonna be what you think.
Right.
That's all it is. It's
Based on what you experienced.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Now,
Yeah.
like everything else, like take any establishment, anyone.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not fundamentally involved with that business or racket or whatever it is, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you don't know the fundamentals.
You don't know what's going on.
don't know.
Whatever you hear is you're outside the store and you heard the customer, hear the cashier who heard, but me and you could try and say what we said
Yeah.
over again,
Yeah.
and we're getting it wrong. And we
Well-
just said it 5 minutes ago.
Well, what's scary is, I'm sure you and I could walk to most people, and they probably have the same sentiment where they don't trust the government. They love their country, right? They may be patriots. They love what's going on, but they have to take the shot.
Correct.
I have to make money. I need my job.
Of
so
course.
when you really understand, like, wow, you are gonna force it on people
Correct.
and make it so
They're
complicated.
cornering you. They're cornering
They're
you.
gonna corner you.
You're cornered.
Like now, I just read, they're gonna try to pass a mandate where if you don't get vaccinated, you'll be taxed. Like what? You're gonna tax me 12% or 10% of it's politics 101. And the politicians do not represent the people because the people have become zombies. Right? The people have become so brain dead and they're on such a low frequency.
Correct.
We have no revolutionaries.
Right.
What revolutionaries? Who? Who's speaking for the people? Nobody. Because everybody's worried about the dollar. They're consumed by their own materialism. You know what I mean?
I agree.
It's crazy.
One thing I know is it's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. And boy, are we in the frame.
Right.
Boy, are we in the frame.
Yeah, locked
You know,
in.
like I know that I don't know what's going on.
Right.
You know, I'll take whatever information. I could only go off of what my stomach tells me to do. Mm-hmm. Did I vax? I vaxxed.
Right.
I
right.
vaxxed.
Right.
Why? This was I have to make a decision. Mm-hmm. And mind you, I don't have businesses, and really, it don't matter to me. If they start to say I can't go shopping and stuff like that, but as far as anything else, like it really don't make a difference to me.
Well, that's what I said too. Like I don't want to eat your restaurant. I'm not
Yeah,
going to go to the
right. Like,
movies.
yeah,
I'm not going to do that.
This was my. If you're interested to hear why I made the decision.
Of course.
150 million Americans vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Take 1% of 150 million. We're at 1.5 million people. If 1% of 150 million Americans are so much smarter than me and want to live more than me, like I want to live. Mm-hmm. There's people that want to live more than me. Like, you know, they got money from here to the moon.
Right.
They have families. They
Right.
got. I don't have children. They might have children. They really want to live.
Right.
Maybe they went to school for 12 years.
Right.
Maybe they're doctors, highfalutin doctors that know a highfalutin doctor that knows an even higher one.
Mm-hmm.
They vaxxed. They did it. I followed them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's right. I
Correct.
don't know. I
And
could be out of here. We could RIP in 3 years.
You're right.
You know, I don't know.
Right.
But anybody else that I hear talk, I mean, I see people, you know, don't get it. But then I take a step back and I mean, I notice this could get hairy, but like, I'll hear people tell me, when I see some people that are like, don't do it, I'm like, you barely even know you're alive to begin with. Like, what's gonna, you know, like, am I gonna listen? Am I gonna listen to you? I gotta go with what I know.
It's a personal choice at the end of the day.
I did it.
And
I'm not saying it's
no,
right.
no, it's definitely a personal choice, and
I
I
didn't
think,
want to. I did not. I went against.
and I think a lot of people morally, morally, and their gut is telling them don't do it.
Correct.
But listen, I got 2 kids. I got a mortgage to pay.
Whatever it is.
I got a car note.
It's a choice.
I need my
Pick
exactly.
your poison.
Correct.
Pick your poison.
So
That's
I think a lot of people come. I think it's the September 28th deadline. Most people need to be mandated vaccine in healthcare, school systems, and abroad. I guess with the
100%.
city employees.
We don't know what this variant.
Right.
What's that going to do if it starts jumping around in your body? People are like, oh, it's a cold. It's not a big deal. Get it. I don't know.
But the scarier thing is, so now you're telling
me.
me if I do get the vaccine, it's really not protecting me against the new variants. So then,
Correct.
so now I'm back into square one, where you're
Back in
basically
square one.
telling me that every 6 months I'm going to need an
Get
AKA
used to vaccines.
booster.
Get used to vaccines.
So get used to being a guinea
Yearly.
pig. Yeah,
Yearly.
or every 6 months. Scary times, my
Very.
friend. Scary times. You know, and the crazier thing is, you don't jump into the depth of conspiracies, but when people can start connecting dots, it's no longer conspiracy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people...
Conspiracies are trippy, man.
Man, let me
They
tell
are
you.
wild. They sound good. Whether they're real... Yo, whether they're true or not, yo, they sound
Listen, when
good.
I was a kid, I used to be infatuated with like alien conspiracies.
Oh, by the way, you know, aliens... They're saying they exist.
They're now fucking admitting.
The government is saying they're saying there are unidentified things. There's things going on, flying at speeds that can't be.
I will tell you.
That's good. I'm ready for them.
In Puerto Rico, most that
Mexico.
third generation, the older, like my grandmother, will tell you absolutely they exist.
Like
They'll
nothing.
Like nothing. Like
Yeah,
they exist, no problem.
I seen them. They're telling you. Grandma's telling you. I seen
Grandma's
it.
like, what do you mean? Of course, there's aliens.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, fact. Yeah,
But
I'm digging it. I'm digging it.
The more in tune to the myths and the legends and the old tales.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
But
I'm putting my boots to the streets this winter. By the way,
yeah.
I'm putting some work in this winter. I'm hitting the streets.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I got to do it. We're gonna give them a nice winter. Say hello to everybody.
But listen, I noticed when COVID really hit and the streets were dead, there were a lot of people that came out the woodworks.
I felt like it was cheating.
It was cheating.
I wasn't with it. It was like, oh, I could walk down this whole block and nobody's. It was like a video game.
Bro, I went to Coney. I was like,
it
these
was like a
gates,
video
these
game.
gates are smashed.
Yeah, I wasn't with it. I wasn't feeling it. It was too easy.
Yeah.
Part of the whole thing is getting away with something. I mean, that was like free rec.
The one thing I will say, I've had Kel up, I've had Mega up, shout them out. The one thing I will say is they admit too, they say the whole illegal concept to it is what makes it thrilling.
It's kind of like vulnerable victim. Like it's kind of, listen, hey, people want to go out and paint and feel like they could do it, and that's what they want to do. God bless them. Like,
right.
I mean,
getting back to whole, graph and the whole culture of it. Who growing up were you bombing heavy with?
Date was my boy. It was always Date. Like,
so we had Date and who else?
I mean, Tez, rest in peace, Tez. You know, there was a nice year and a half, nice spell with Tez, bombing with Tez,
Right.
and Date, and a couple of local kids that I grew up with going to I really wasn't. Still to today, I never went all city. By the way, just for the record, like
Now, again, let's educate. You got to realize, right? We're a platform that educates. So, younger generation tuning in when we say all city, let them know what we mean.
You know all 5 boroughs and.
Not an easy task.
I mean, to touch it, yeah, but to like really crush it and make every borough know your name as if you lived in that borough, not an easy task.
I don't know. I feel like for you to do it, it's a lot of beef.
Let it come. It's part of the game. It's gonna happen, and whatever. Take it from there. But it's involved.
I feel like graffiti writers, for some reason, even growing up with everyone, right, always into beef.
And how could you not? It's an
see,
ego. It's an ego game.
Yeah, right. Because like being a rapper, unless it was more about neighborhood banging on neighborhood, being a rapper, it was never like I want to murder this dude because he got crazy wordplay.
Right.
I'm gonna murder him because he got bars. You know what I mean? Whereas if graph heads are like knocking on your door type shit.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, like I had like a graffiti beef a couple of years back, and it's like it wasn't fun. Like it was crazy. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Would you like to indulge any? Who'd you have beef with?
I had beef with these kids, and I was wrong. I guess looking at it now, I mean, they did fill-ins over my tags, and I felt
Brooklyn shit or
yeah. I felt such a type of way over it. Like damn, like how are you going over my name? I remember years ago, if your paint oversprayed on somebody else's
even
paint,
a nick, even a little nip,
you dissed them.
Yeah,
they're gonna see you and feel away.
Yeah.
So I felt funny that they were doing fill-ins over my names, and I started dissing them, and then they started dissing me, and I wasn't really used to seeing that. Like I wasn't used to somebody blatantly going over attacking my work.
Right.
You know, leaving little messages and stuff like that. And
word?
Yeah. And I put in my mind that they were younger kids.
Probably.
And I kind of put them in a category of like, there's no way they could be tough. Like, in my mind, it was like, there's no way they could be tough. Like, if they're 20-something years old, it's like,
how many?
You can't be tough.
What's
like,
your history at 20-something?
You can't be tough. There's no violence in the past 25 years. Like,
Correct.
You didn't.
Correct.
So, we went back and forth, and it was fueled, and I had a lot of nights I lost because every night I couldn't sleep. I don't know what they were doing, if they thought it was funny or whatever, but I wasn't sleeping. And I was going out every night, and I was looking for their work, and I was dissing them, and they were dissing me. And I knew that the only way this is going to end is if there's a fight. Like, there's no way in the world. This cannot end without a fight one way or the other. Whether I'm beat up, it has to be a fight. Because there's no talking at this point. It's too much anger and sleepless nights.
And I think all graffiti writers listening to you would be probably nodding their head like, yup.
No, it has to end in a fight.
Graph heads, that's like classic shit.
It has to end in a fight. There's no other way for it to end. Long story short, ran into them. And it was kind of interesting. It was like kind of really old school too, like how because they had no pictures of themselves on the gram. It was like there was gram work.
How'd you know it was them?
That internet attacks. Those you know, that being famous amongst all non-famous people, the Instagram. But there was no pictures of them, and they knew who I was on site. Check this. How I knew it was them is when I looked at them, I knew that they knew who I was. You dig what I'm saying? Like, I looked at you knowing you know who I am.
Caught them eye fucking.
I knew you knew me.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were just looking. It was like, you knew me. So it's you. And long story short, they weren't scared at all. Like, it almost might have been like they were looking for me. You understand? But anyway, so transpired, little things popped off, whatever. And it got squashed right then and there. And it was over, and that was it. But it was, just to be 40 years old and going through it was kind of like bugged out. It was kind of true. Don't diss me because I don't got another. I don't got another one in me. I don't got another one in me.
And I think I think people have to respect the labor of love, man. There's not many genres of art where you're gonna have to really throw up the dick beaters and have a fair one.
Yeah,
you know what I
no,
mean?
yeah.
Based on ego, based on you went over me.
You disrespecting
based
that game. There has to be a fight involved somehow.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying if you get into a fight and somebody knocks you out, like, you don't have to step on their head and start kicking their teeth in. You pick them back up. It's over. That's it. Have a nice. But something has to get done.
With the history of graph in New York, who would you say, in your opinion, is the biggest graffiti crew?
Biggest graffiti modern?
Just in general? Yeah. What do you think had the biggest kind of?
Damn. I mean,
It's a lot, right?
I mean, going back old school. I mean, big crews. I mean, train era. It's RTW. And Risk.
RTW. Shout out to fucking Sil. And Risk. Yeah.
No,
That's-
like Ghost and all them, and like then the Min. You know,
Yeah.
shout out to Min, OG RTW.
Super OG.
But yeah, like I mean, they were running from what we seen the BMT trains.
Yeah,
You know, they were rocking and rolling. Like,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
trains were getting buffed too in the late '80s. So when you seen them, they were going back and they were painting. Because those trains were getting cleaned and they were still constantly having top to bottoms things, crazy everything.
Right.
So they were working.
And the one thing that's interesting with New York compared to Miami, LA, and other places is we're not only big with the street bombing, but also big with vans and the box
big,
cars.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah, beautiful.
Huge.
Yeah, beautiful.
Huge.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Love trucks.
Oh, I noticed.
They're like modern day trains. They're like, I see a truck as a
Bro.
bomb train.
I was somewhere on Long Island, and the shit just went by. I was like, hey, I know him.
Kids are painting their asses off though.
Right.
Some of these kids are really they're putting in work.
True. Now,
They're
is there
painting.
any difference as far as the graffiti scene with New York compared to the West Coast?
Don't know.
Right.
Don't have no clue. To me, I mean,
They seem to be more freeway, highway.
my opinion, I don't care about no graffiti out. I mean, I guess maybe some Jersey and whatever, but I only pay attention and only care about New York graffiti.
I hear you.
Yeah, like I don't care about nowhere else really. I don't care what you do out of the city.
I hear you.
Maybe it's small minded. Maybe I'm thinking small or whatever, but that's me.
You're thinking Frank Sinatra. If I can make it here,
Yeah,
I can
that's
make it anywhere,
Yeah,
baby.
Like if you know.
And speaking of New York, for people that really want a bigger depth of conversation, he is a super duper sports fan.
Oh,
right. So we want to get into the Yankees. What's going on, man?
Yankee baseball, man. You know what it is.
Listen, the Dark
Mets
Empire.
baseball? Are you
I'm
Mets?
Mets.
You're
Yeah, I'm
Mets
Mets. Yeah,
baseball.
yeah,
Okay, you're
yeah.
Mets
That's why I've
baseball.
been quiet on your gram. I didn't want to say anything. I've been super quiet, but yeah, I'm
I'm
definitely a
digging
Mets
sports, man. It's something to do.
fan. Right.
I pay attention to it. It's something to do. We played sports.
Of course.
We played sports growing up.
course.
And
I got a high school championship with Lafayette, man. Stop playing.
got the high school champ with the
man.
baseball?
Of course.
big deal. It's a big deal.
We did
It's a
2
big deal.
years. with-
Which regime was that? Was that the
That was
was that the Nicky
from,
Samanisi?
Yeah, you go. That's
You
my
got-
guy.
yeah.
Center fielder.
That's a big deal. Yeah, that's a
man.
big deal. You got a shot. That's great.
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
look at him. He got his little one playing ball.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we grew up sports oriented, so a long time I didn't play sports and I didn't pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. What else is there to pay attention to today? You know what I'm saying?
Politics would drive you crazy.
It's cool. I'm digging the Yankees,
Right.
and I follow them. I watch every single game. I go to. I'm actually.
noticed.
I'm actually going to the game tomorrow.
So I did a
Unfortunate-
backflip because you're actually playing catch with my childhood idol.
Oh, that was a big deal.
Wait,
yeah.
hold on.
That
So
was a big deal.
so of course
It was a
we
big
all
deal.
communicate on the gram. So here it is. Looking at your gram, I look and I'm like, who the fuck is he playing catch with?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's out of all people, tell him,
Big Doc Gooden.
Fucking
the big
Doc Gooden.
He had a baseball catch. for me.
Mr. Tampa himself.
Yeah. all thanks to my friend Shani. All thanks to
All
her.
right,
She-
no
she,
doubt.
She made that happen.
No doubt. And that shit was like
put it
super duper New York. Like they're under the fucking train.
I never threw a ball 15 feet and had so much of a problem. Couldn't wait for it to reach his glove. The pressure was like,
Bro.
like imagine if I miss him with the ball. Like he
Bro.
actually got up to have a catch for me and I can't throw.
Growing up, again, I know for a lot of people listening, it might be out of their genre, but Doc Gooden changed
New York.
Like, he changed
brought
New
his
York,
swag
bro.
to New York.
Yo,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah.
And even being a young kid, I used to. He was one of the few people that I would look at that motion, and I wanted to idolize that motion.
Oh, of
His
course,
first
yeah.
pitching motion off the mound,
Doc is a big
bro.
deal.
That high knee kick.
He was
woo.
he was probably throwing 100 miles an hour then.
He was throwing seeds.
Yeah, he was throwing 100 miles an hour.
Seeds that
Yeah,
move.
yeah, yeah.
And if you play ball, you know there's a difference between, throwing a flat
Oh, of
fastball
course.
as opposed to it's moving, bro.
Forget
You got
about
that
it.
shit moving.
It's breaking physics. Like things are going on. Yeah.
Bro, another level.
Yeah.
So, Yankee baseball, what are we doing, man? We're making the
We're going
playoffs.
to the playoffs. Yeah, of course we're going to the playoffs.
All right.
Yeah, of course we're
All
going.
right.
Yeah,
All
of
right.
course we're going.
Listen, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna
Yankee
hate.
baseball,
I'm
yeah.
not gonna fucking throw stones at the Dark Empire.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're going to
What-
we're going to the playoffs.
What are you? Who are some of your? Without modern, who are some of your favorite Yankee greats?
Number 2.
I was
Come
gonna
on,
say.
number 2.
Is that not huge? Well, I knew he was going in. As far as the Hall.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, beautiful career.
captain.
I liked all the Yankees. I mean, it's not even.
You think Alex is going to the Hall? Is Alex going to the Hall?
No.
Holy shit. He's hurt. He lost J-Lo and he's not going to the Hall.
He did a lot of losing. Yeah, he lost a lot.
Holy shit.
He lost the job.
Lifestyle
he lost
of
the Mets.
losing.
He lost getting the Mets. He lost to J-Lo.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's crazy. He lost J-Lo.
He lost J-Lo. Yikes. He lost J-Lo to the ex.
Oh my God.
So what was she doing this whole time?
Wow. Like moments after they were broken
This
up.
guy's going to kill himself.
Oh my God.
He's going to jump off the bridge.
Mind you, I'm a fan of MLB.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a fan of the whole Major League Baseball. I'm a fan of the sport. I want Yankees to win, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoever's playing the Yankees, I'm a Yankee fan, but I am a fan. I'm a fan of all great players.
It would be in a perfect world, as far as marketing 101.
Yeah.
Perfect scenario would be LA versus New York.
Fantastic.
That would be
Fantastic.
picture
It's a
perfect.
big
And that's
deal.
me being
Yeah,
a
it's
Met
big
fan.
deal. It's a
Me
big
being a
deal.
Met fan, but I got to say, that would be amazing.
I agree.
Yeah.
It would be a big deal.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most watched.
Yeah,
also.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm a fan of the whole MLB. Like, I love all baseball. I love all great players. You see that Shohei Ohtani? A pitcher, 43 home runs. A pitcher, 43. It's unheard of.
He's a fucking tall
He's
guy,
a freak
bro.
of nature. Yeah,
he's
I
a
mean, there's
fucking
all
tall
great.
guy.
There's so many great plays. Like, even the Yankees are playing that guy Bichette, Bo Bichette.
Bullshit.
These guys are fantastic ball players. I mean, they make plays against the Yankees, and I'm like, yo.
No, I will admit the
That's fantastic.
younger athletes coming up, they have a few things working in their favor.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we didn't, me being a high school ball player, I didn't have the power of online
Position?
marketing.
What are you? Position?
Pitch. I used to pitch.
Come on, stop it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I used to pitch.
That's
This
great.
is when we had crazy people, the whole lineup as far as live.
I'm so happy that I'm learning that you played and pitched high school ball.
bro. Like everybody in the neighborhood was a ball player.
Did
mate.
you play Ty Cobb as a kid?
Yes.
Oh, you were okay.
We went to Puerto Rico. We got our asses smacked.
You were the blue and white Ty Cobb. Oh,
Ty Cobb,
fantastic.
TC.
Yeah. I was BBA most places. That was a nice ball field you had behind there too.
And unfortunately, this goes back to like we were saying, the neighborhood. The sad thing is like after our generation, you had some of the elders pass away in the neighborhood. We didn't really have the toolage anymore. So now when you go back to the neighborhood, bro, not too long, I almost got emotional. I'm looking at the field. The weeds are 16 feet high.
I just
And
went
I'm like,
by
what
there.
the
I was
fuck is
looking at
this
it
shit?
myself. Yeah.
Like rest in peace to Gus, man. It's like when you see people that, when you're young, you don't understand that these grown older men are getting up, they're mowing,
Yeah.
they're throwing out the chalk. And this is really because not only do they love the game,
What
but
are
they
the
love kids,
What are the
man.
chances? What are the chances of you actually coming out onto a ball field again just to goof around and throw a ball around?
What the funny thing is,
Throw a
when
hard
I saw
ball.
you, I was doing the softball thing for a while.
Yeah.
Softball, hardball, two different games.
Yeah.
Was having a lot of fun with the softball
Yeah.
until it started getting into these money tournaments. And I was all right, guys, you guys are getting crazy. It's like
Yeah.
grown men arguing on a fucking Sunday.
Oh yeah, I'm not with that. Yeah.
It's like,
that's ridiculous.
bro. And you know what I mean? Like, you guys are grown-ass men. I don't
Yeah,
care
yeah,
what
yeah.
college you
We're here to
played
have
in.
fun.
We're here to
Yeah,
have
we're
fun,
here to
yeah.
have fun.
But once money gets involved,
It's a different story.
shit
You
gets
ruined it.
wicked.
It's not even worth it at
yeah,
that point.
you got people going head first, giving you the.
Would you come out to throw a couple of balls?
Absolutely. Yeah, what? I got the glove ready to go.
Shady Park, home plate to the basketball court.
Home plate towards the Dunkin' Donuts?
Dunkin' Donuts
okay.
home plate to the far end basketball hoop.
Okay.
How many feet is that?
That's a nice shot.
Footage, if you had to guess.
380?
I like that.
Something like that.
I'm thinking 350. 380 is nice to know.
Yeah, maybe 380.
I want to get that. It's hard. I need
that back fence is pretty high.
I need some speed. I'm going to need you to throw a couple of something
That's
in the
they're
50
nice.
in the 50
Hard
mile
ball?
an hour. Yeah.
Okay.
I need a 50 mile an hour flat fastball.
We'll go break out the wood.
I got the Eastons, the wood, whatever we got.
And listen, and speaking of sports, what would you say? What would, in your opinion, would be the more complicated of sports? What's the hardest sport to be a professional in?
I mean, I never really played golf, but I mean, to hit a ball 350 yards.
I'm going to be
and
honest.
get it in
I
a hole.
just started getting into golf.
Oh yeah, that's right. I see.
Just started getting into
that's
golf.
Good. That's good.
And it is, now that I'm older, I got to say it's hard.
How could it not be? How
it's
you
hard.
hitting a ball 350 feet? This
Not
big in
only
a
that,
hole?
but it's a backspin, a front spin.
All types of stuff. Very scientific, technical sport. Yeah.
Very, very, and it's also a very solo sport because you could go by yourself and just be teeing off, spend a great day on the course.
What I'll say is, I think if you could play baseball, you could play other sports better than if you're another sport player and you try to play other sports.
Right.
Once you're a baseball player,
The fundamentals are there. It's like something in
hand-eye
your hand,
coordination.
hand-eye,
There's things going on.
Yeah,
you can play other sports.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So
I think the harder of the major sports might be soccer, because
it's a tricky sport.
bro, it's the amount of running. I would just die.
It's ridiculous.
I would be like, yo, boss,
I always
timeout.
said the Mexicans, and to go off rail, we were around on something. The Mexicans in prison, they run back and forth all day long. I used to say I'd rather get hit with a bat than get kicked by one of them.
Bro,
You know how much running they
calves. Yeah, man. South Americans dominate between the South Americans and the Europeans, which is why I think the U.S. got a lot better in soccer.
Right.
Because growing up, we just didn't play soccer.
Period.
It's not what we
Didn't
did.
play soccer.
And I talk to people about this, and they're like, "What do you mean?" Because we just weren't. It just wasn't our culture.
We weren't kicking a ball around.
No, it
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
our thing.
That's right.
It was in New York City. The one thing I would say about basketball is that there is an available court
Anywhere.
every 5 blocks.
Yeah. Basketball, baseball, football.
That's pretty much
Splash
what
of
it
hockey.
is.
Splash
Splash
of
of
hockey,
hockey,
yeah.
more, and this is where it gets into economics, because once you go out into the island, hockey's predominant, right, and so is lacrosse.
True.
Lacrosse is a rough fucking sport,
yeah,
man.
yeah. Hell
That's
yeah.
that was cultivated with Native American Indians, and
Cool.
That's a tough sport, man. But so I want to keep people up to date as far as Chris Ama. Any new projects we're gonna be working on? Any future art exhibits maybe we might be doing? Not interested?
Not really.
How do you
Nothing
feel?
going on.
How do you feel about art in galleries as far as graffiti in galleries? What's your opinion with that?
I mean,
You okay with that?
yeah. I mean, it's their business. Like, you know what I mean? Anything that somebody does
Right.
that's not affecting someone negatively,
Right.
do what you want to do.
A lot
like,
of
you know what I mean?
graph heads frown upon that. They're
Yeah,
like,
whatever. That's their opinion also. I mean,
Right.
if people want to put their stuff up there and whatever they're doing, it's their business. Like,
Right.
it just gives me my choice to either go, not go, like
Right.
it or don't like it, you know?
And hopefully the people could see. So Chris brought down a nice little piece.
It's pretty cool. That's pretty dope.
Yep.
I'm digging it.
Definitely super funky.
Please don't stop the music.
Don't stop the music.
Don't stop the music.
Don't stop the music.
And that music is a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
us going.
It's
Don't
definitely
stop the
dope.
music.
I love the background. Got the Verrazano Bridge.
Yeah, I didn't do it. I didn't do the background. I didn't do the background.
Went right over.
Yeah, I went
Dope.
right over it.
Right.
Just
That's how we
just
do
a
it.
cool thing. That's all. I
Listen.
vandalized somebody's painting.
Listen, there's a whole nother element of. I even find it funny how it used to be called being vandalizing, right, or being a vandal. Now, when you look at the trains, there's actually ads being run.
Oh yeah,
Full blown fucking ads.
Supreme. There was a Supreme.
Yeah.
Train, bro.
And I'm like, bro, this is New York culture 101.
Yeah.
What used to be something that is urban culture, you're not money for it.
Right.
Now it's monetized.
It's wild.
Right?
I think we did good. I think we covered a lot of ground.
Hell yeah.
Right?
Hell yeah. But listen, I'm glad you came up.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
I'm glad everything's okay. You're the same mood, by the way. You got the same mood,
Bro.
for a long time, which is
Yeah.
an indicator that everything's okay.
Yeah, man. Just, living, man.
That's
Fucking
it.
staying blessed, staying motivated, still doing the music, got the podcast running now.
The best should be yet to come, and we'll be okay.
We'll be okay.
Maybe we'll do this again, so a little down the line, and see what unfolded, what didn't.
Well, we're gonna do something in the winter as far as a nice art exhibition. We'll do something in Soho, and we'll get everybody together. We'll build. Listen, once again, it was a pleasure having Chris Ama. This is Tom Brody. This is the Cheerz to the Real podcast. You already know, man. Peace.
Screaming, cheers to the real. Good vibes only. Putting in work and recipes to all the homies. Yeah, money was the motive. Hood couldn't hold me. 100K made man, suckers looking phony. Yeah, cheers to the real. Good vibes only. Putting in work and recipes to all